Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop. In this video, we are going to reveal the top 10 Cosman woodworking tools that we sell. I'm going to show you what they do and how to use them. Stay with us. I'm Rob Cosman and welcome to my shop. We make it our job to help you take your woodworking to the next level. If you're new to our channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and don't forget to turn on the notification on your mobile device so you'll know every time we release a new video. Good? All right, back to the bench. I asked old Luther, laying back there in Southern California, nothing to do, to pull out of the data our top 10 tools that we've sold in the last 12 months. Some of them I could have guessed, some I was surprised at. But I'm going to go through them, show them to you, see what you think. We're going to start with number 10 and work our way up to number 1. I thought it would be interesting to see how close, to me, the top 10 tools are. In other words, do I actually use these myself? Well, number 10 comes in that little box, is a fret saw. And this is actually the one that started it all off with the taping of the handle. Came with such a small, smooth handle, just couldn't get a hold of it, couldn't make it work right. However, we started taping them and it took off, and now we sell a lot of tape as well. But it's a very inexpensive tool. I use it for getting rid of the majority of the waste when cutting dovetails. Although it's only got a 3-inch throat, when you put the blade in, you give it a little bend here and here. And now when you make a horizontal cut, the frame stays up above the joint and there's no limit. Works very extremely well. Well, there's number 2, the Sharpening 16,000 grit stone. And you don't have to go very far. If you've seen any of my videos on sharpening, you know it's my favorite. It's the one that always sits on my right side. It's what I do my final finish on both planes and chisels. I think it's the absolute best value in sharpening. The edge that you get with that is incredible. You can go higher, but you just can't really notice the difference in the finished piece. 16,000 Sharpening. Number 8, I'm a little surprised. Thought it would be number 1. My Dovetail Saw. This is the one that put us on the map. And it's never more than an arm's length away from me. This is a saw that started it all for us. I had taught literally thousands of people how to cut dovetails. I watched them struggle. Main problem, they couldn't start the saw accurately. In the process of trying to get a saw started, it would jump around. Once it got going, it was fine, but it was in the wrong spot. So I decided one day, what if you had little tiny teeth up front that would enable you to start the saw without any resistance, then follow it up with the big teeth for speed. I added to that weight because gravity would be the best trainer for where plumb is, but I also knew that it had to register in your hand the same way every time you picked it up. So you eventually developed a bit of muscle memory. And it doesn't take very long before you realize where 0 is, 10 degrees to one way, 10 degrees to the other, and away you go. Interesting enough, about the first 5,000 of these that we sold, I built every one of them. I have guys here that help me now, but Ian's our main saw maker. But that's it. That is the Rob Cosman Dovetail Saw, number 8, sorry. Number 7, the Cosman Workbench video. Now this has quite a history. Jake and I and my son-in-law Frick, back in 2011, started an online workshop. We still run it today. And when we started, it was just hand tool only. And about 6 months in, I realized people were home trying to do this on a workmate or a end of their kitchen counter or a table saw. And I realized, they got to have a workbench. In the process of building a workbench, the one I'm actually leaning on, I realized that the average guy getting started did not have the tools, the skill, or the ability to build something like this right out of the gate. So I developed what was called the Cosman Workbench. The original was made out of 3 pieces of MDF on the top, and Baltic birch plywood cut into pieces and put together like Lego on the bottom. The concept was, you could literally build it with very few tools, very few clamps, and something as simple as a circular saw, even a jigsaw if you had to. Well, Luther came along and decided that would make a great video. So he and I and Frick and Jake went to work on this. I think it's over 4 hours long, but we have sold hundreds, if not thousands of these, and a lot of people have been able to get a good bench and now can do hand tool woodworking at a very affordable price with a rock solid bench. Fantastic. Number 7. Number 6. This, I think, is actually the very first tool that I started to make, and this goes way back to maybe 2001. This is the Dovetail Marker. You never have to go very far to find mine. It's always in that drawer. In fact, I've got a couple of them. Now, little history on this one as well. Made these out of one piece of maple. Used to cut that out with the table saw and then go in with a plane called a bench rabbit plane and clean it all up. However, right now, if you are aware of our relationship with combat wounded veterans, we actually have Jesse Rufiange. And Jesse is an extremely talented woodworker. He's combat wounded, medically retired, but we contract Jesse to make our dovetail markers and our drawer dovetail markers. These are some of the little items that he makes. That's a special little stand to put your cell phone on. You can either lay it sideways. In fact, I'll show you. Watch your movies like that, or if you want to watch them like that. Very simple, but very well made. Big shout out to Jesse Rufiange on this one. Hey, if you like this video, we have more. Our newsletter has subscriber-only content, monthly discount on tools, and anything we bring out that's new, subscribers get first crack at it. Click on the link below. Let's get back to work. Number 5, Hone-Right Gold. Of course, there's a story behind this one too. So when I first started teaching people, of course, the first thing they wanted to know was, where do I get that? Where do I get that? What do I need? And I had put together a sharpening system. In fact, I used all Shapton. It was the very best, and I was thrilled with it. But the price took a huge increase back in 2009, I believe, and it put it out of the reach of the average person. That's when I found out about the diamond plate that was, 1/4 the cost of the special Shapton lapping plate. However, the problem was you had to use oil on the diamond plate, you had to use water on the Shaptons, and it just doesn't mix, right? Well, Jody Garrett, who at the time was the CEO of Woodcraft, contacted me and he said, Rob, we've got this stuff called Hone-Right Gold. Now this is a water additive that when added to water inhibits water from rusting metal. Safe to use on the ceramic stones or on the water stones, and also prevented your diamond stone from rusting, and it provided that lubrication you need. A little bottle like that makes 1.5 gallons, so it goes a long way, and mine is sitting right down there with the rest of my sharpening gear. Number 5. Number 4, you can't see it in the package, but that's our dovetail marking knife with the sawtooth blade. Well, again, you don't have to go far for that one. This grew out of an old Stanley marking knife that I found way back in 1985 or 86. And I had gone in and modified the blade to get it to mark the way I wanted it to. And I used it for years until from getting flexed so many times, it case hardened and broke on me. Well, it was just about that time that I had discovered a method of laying out dovetails that was far superior and multiple times more accurate, thanks to Ernest Joyce in his book called The Encyclopedia of Furniture Making. There was one little part that was missing, and we came up with that idea in 2014, and it involved the offset. I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. But we started adding this little sawtooth blade to the dovetail marking knife, and the reason we did this was just to make it recognizable, because all the videos we had done, you saw that red knife, so we thought, well, why not? But we sell a lot of these, and this is part of the solution of being able to cut a dovetail perfectly in your first couple of tries. And that always comes off sounding like a sales pitch, but try it, you'll see what I mean. Number 4. Number 3, the Shaun Shim. What's it look like? Well, don't have to go very far. I got 2 of them to show you. And there's a really good story behind this. I was teaching our Purple Heart project in 2017, and we had a combat wounded vet named Sean McDermott. And this was right about just shortly after we'd come up with this new method of offsetting your tailboard from your pinboard. If you haven't seen it, we'll leave a link below on a different way to cut dovetails. But Sean was in the class, and he had fooled around with a piece of wood, and he'd made this little offset jig, and gave it to me. He said, this would be a good idea. And it took us a couple of years, but we got thinking about it. Went to work with Paul Hayton, who's a good friend of ours, a regular genius up in Ontario. And he had added the concept of changing the different offsets. And we're going to do a video soon about why it's done that way. But we named this the Shaun Shim. We give Shaun a royalty on every one that we sell. It was a great idea. Big shout out to Sean McDermott, another combat wounded vet who I now owe even more to. The Shaun Shim, number 3. And I should add, we also have a new one for our little saw that we use for making small jewelry box size dovetails. That's a little Shaun Shim Mini. Number 2 is our sharpening rule. Now David Charlesworth, may he rest in peace, deserves a big shout out for that. This is an idea that David Charlesworth came up with way back in the mid-70s, and it literally revolutionized sharpening of plane blades. It took a while for me to get my head around it, but when I finally did, I realized this is the smartest thing I've ever learned about sharpening. And Jake added to it. We used to just use a regular steel rule, but it had these little marks in it, and it would make a noise and just vibrate when you were doing it. So Jake decided to get them made out of a piece of steel that has no markings on it, and you'll always find my sharpening rule close by, right there on my stone. That is our number 2, and if you've not seen that, go to check out my video, 32 Seconds to Sharp, and it can revolutionize the way you sharpen, and it's all freehand. It's awesome. David Charlesworth. Big drum roll on this one. Our number 1 selling item last year is our plane wax, our magic plane wax. And I know I owe a big shout out to Kevin Burris. Kevin is another combat wounded vet, EOD, 22 years, blown up multiple times, medically retired. Kev came to our class. Actually, he's a friend of Super Dave's. And he had come and worked. He did some wood shows with us whenever we were in that area. And he came to our class. I think that was in 2018. And Kev told us about this, had one of these, this tube of wax. Well, we got a hold of the manufacturer. We worked with our own formula. Took 4 tries, but we finally got it. And it's just such a handy applicator. And putting a little bit of wax on the bottom of the sole of your plane just takes all the effort away. Well, I want to tell you a little more about Kevin Burris, because Kevin has started a business. His website is Burris Woodworking. And Kev did one of these for us, and I think this is fantastic. If there's any date in your life that's important, you may want to have it carved in stone. I decided to have Kevin laser engrave on a piece of slate, this is actual stone, our mission statement for the Purple Heart Project. We also have one for our business, and we've got another one that has a personal message that's going to go up in my office. But you can check out Kevin, burriswoodworking.com. We'll leave a link below. These are our top 10 selling items. Be interesting to see this time next year how 2022 compared with 2021, and maybe it'll be the same, maybe it'll be a little bit different. We got new stuff on the horizon. Anyway, thanks for your support of our business and our channel. See you. If you enjoy my method of work and like my style of teaching, click on any one of these videos to help take your woodworking to the next level. I've always said, better tools make the job so much easier. If you click on the plane and chisel icon below, it'll take you to our site and introduce you to all the tools that we actually manufacture right here in our shop. It'll also give you information on our in-person and online workshops.